Amen. Mayor Pro Tem, how about leading us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have item 3, approval of the minutes for the September 9th, 2024 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Item 4, we have approval of the agenda for September 23rd, 2024 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? Ayes have it. We have public comments. I have 2, Ms. Lindsay. And the way it works, when we call you up, please give us your name, your address, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. We're pretty strict on those 2 minutes, and we will have you sit and follow up with you. Mr. Proctor, come on up.
Charlotte Proctor, Proctor's Lawn Service. I've been having some issues with the city, work I've been doing for over 30 years. And every time I do something for them, they complain this year. I had no complaints to this year. I did a job for them on 124 Briarwood, August the 4th. And then they come back on August the 30th and told me it wasn't complete. So, and I showed them, yes, I had a picture of what I did at August 4th. The door was closed up. Then he said they went by there and saw it open. If they did on the 4th, why did they come back and tell me about the 4th, wait till the 30th? Then I had to go back with her, redo it, clean up the trash. And I had to spend like maybe 2 hours trying to, by that time they'll change the screws on boarding up. So I had to go try to find a different kind of screws, which I didn't think it made any sense anyway, because the screws wasn't had nothing to do with where they snatching it off. Probably what the screw was still in there. And and I asked Mr. Story, he never did get back. And we had a meeting, but I didn't get no answer, really no answers to the questions. You see, I give y'all the outline of what maybe y'all could help. Because I ain't never had a contractor, or we supposed to be contractors, no hourly rate going to do a job. And I'll give you a tape. Well, after that, they had sent a letter to one of my customers, and I could show them a picture. Well, we done cut it 4 times, and the one on the corner, it was on Carlisle Street, and on the corner on Hydrant Street, it hadn't been cut at all. And then on Annie Street, I was cutting this lady's yard. We cut it about twice, then we just said, they ain't enforcing it, so we just stopped cutting it. And you go by there, and they ain't doing it.
Okay. All right. We got it, Mr. Proctor. We would definitely follow up. Someone would be following up with you.
Okay, could y'all address it with me?
We would definitely follow up with you. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Y'all need me anymore?
No, sir. Thank you. Mr. Proctor, before you leave, 556 Old Mill.
564 Mill Road, Chelsea.
Okay. Got you. We got your number here. We have all your information. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
LaRaven Twitty.
LaRaven Twitty, 201 Samara Street. Sparta Passenger Center problems. The Sparta Passenger Center machine needs to be replaced. My bus ticket only printed a portion of the expiration date, and the workers had a hard time validating my card, so they had to manually write the expiration date. The buses break down, and vans are used to replace it more often. The buses are dirty and needs cleaning. The inside of Sparta Passenger Center is getting worse. The seats they have more smudge stains on them and crumbs and random strangers' hair on them. It feels like stuff is crawling on my skin. I can't see it. It smells bad. I stand outside A worker said they aren't being treated right, that Brian Fisher only cares about Brian Fisher, end.
Thank you. We will definitely follow up with that, Ms. Twitty. That ends our public comments. Item 6, presentation of proclamation declaring October the 1st, 2024 as National Night Out. Presenter is myself. We have some of the neighborhood association presidents present. If you don't mind, come on down. We'll go through the proclamation. Just a few of the neighborhoods that will participate in National Night Out. If you don't mind giving us your name and which neighborhood you represent.
I am Sheila's office, and I represent South Converse Neighborhood Association.
Willa Rita, and I represent Forest Park Neighborhood Association.
Jamar Brown, I represent Park Hill South.
Leroy Jeter, Highland Neighborhood Association.
Thank you all for coming this evening, and we look forward to getting to some of the neighborhoods. We'll try to make as many as we can. And, I think that Park Hills had some hot fish the last time I was there. Let me know when it's coming out the grease. Miss Rita said we all will be there. Now, on behalf of the City of Spartanburg proclamation, whereas the National Association of Town Watch, NATW, is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime and drug violence prevention program on October the 1st, 2024, entitled National Night Out. Whereas the 41st Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the City of Spartanburg to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas the City of Spartanburg police officers play a vital role in protecting the city through crime, drugs, and violent prevention efforts, and are supporting National Night Out 2024 locally. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of the City of Spartanburg be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs that impacts their participation, that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in the City of Spartanburg. Whereas police community partnership, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Jerome Rice Jr., Mayor of the City of Spartanburg, South Carolina, and on behalf of my fellow city council members, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October the 1st, 2024, National Night Out in Spartanburg. And I call upon all citizens of the City of Spartanburg to join with the City of Spartanburg police officers in supporting the 41st Annual National Night Out on October the 1st, 2024. So thank you all for your participation in your neighborhoods and for what you do in your neighborhood. And we do look forward to visiting you all on October the 1st. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Did Ruth get in the picture?
We got to do it all.
It's in the next newsletter.
I don't know, she might have been too quick for me.
It's in the next newsletter. Awesome, awesome. We do look forward to National Night Out here in Spartanburg. It's always been a big event for our neighborhoods as well as the council. So we have item 7, presentation of improvement to, just thought about it, to GSP in the expanded commercial aviation operations for the upstate. Presenter, Mr. Dave Edwards Jr., President and CEO, Greenville Spartanburg Airport District. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having me tonight. May I approach to the dais? Just a
Sure.
Just a little challenge point for the airport that I wanted you all to have. Newly done.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you so much for having me here tonight to share a little bit about the airport. I don't know that we have had a chance to do this much in the past, and I'm excited to be here tonight. I'm going to move quickly because I know you have things to do beyond hearing from me at the airport, but I did want to bring you up to speed on a few items and then talk about this Air Service Development Fund initiative that we have been moving forward with over the last 6 to 9 months. So, a little bit about our mission at the airport. I won't read it to you verbatim, but the bottom line is we exist here in the upstate to advance the economic prosperity of our region. We do that through the provision of passenger air service at the airport, through cargo air service at the airport, and you folks here know, as well as anyone in the upstate, that with our connections to international business around the world that exist here in our region, it's important for us to also connect not only nationally but globally, and we think we do a pretty good job of that based on the size of our airport and the size of our community. A couple things recently about the airport. Actually, 2 or 3 out of the last 4 years, we have been ranked #1 in North America in our class of airport, size of airport, by a group called Airport Council International World, and they do an airport quality service index for customer service, and so we have been voted by our customers at GSP as #1 in our class. So we're pretty proud of that. We missed it 1 year during COVID. We think there was some things going on, some tinkering with some of the metrics, so but the last 2 years we've won back-to-back, and we're on track this year to do extremely well again. We also were recognized this year as one of the top 50 employers in the state of South Carolina at the Greenville Spartanburg Airport District, so we are proud of that as well. That's an employee-based survey, and it tells us that our employees think that we're doing a good job at GSP on their behalf. So a little bit about air service. You can see up here the markets that we serve today. We have really good connectivity, 28 nonstop markets today, 7 different airlines at the airport. I'll talk a little bit about some of our newest service that we've received here in the last year on the next slide. Breeze Airways came into our market in May of this year. Started with 5 new cities. You see those cities up there. Probably the biggest win out of that, it was good to get up into the Northeast and around Boston, but was our first service ever to the West Coast nonstop with Los Angeles. So that was a big deal for us. And we look forward to them bringing that back as we move into 2025. They have stopped service seasonally for the month of September. They'll be back with some of the markets in October, and then be back with LA just after the first of the year. And I'll talk about another opportunity that we have with Breeze as well. United Airlines actually this week starts back with Dulles service. That was the one market that had not come back following COVID, so we had lost that market after COVID. So now we have all of the markets back that we had pre-COVID and several more. Avelo Airlines, another new service for us this year in the springtime, included both Manchester and Rochester, in addition to bringing back Tweed, New Haven. Great service up into those markets, been extremely successful over the summer. And last but not least, we have Southwest Airlines, who originally when they first came to the upstate and came to GSP, they had 5 different cities. Nashville was one of those, and then they had a little retooling of their air service market, and they put all of our flights into Atlanta. We have slowly been able to convince them to bring back some of those original markets. Nashville was the #1 market requested by our community here in the upstate to get back in place. I think because you can get on the plane at 8 o'clock here at a GSP, and you can arrive in Nashville at 8 o'clock Nashville time. So it's a really great nonstop service, and has been very successful so far in being brought back to the market. On this slide, you see what we're looking for. So we have all those existing current markets that are shown on the screen. If you look up there, you look at the red dots on the map, those are markets that we're going after. I'll point out one in particular, San Francisco, another West Coast market. We are actually seeking what we call a small air service development grant through the Department of Transportation at the federal level. And we're seeking $1 million. If we are fortunate enough to receive that grant, we actually have a letter of interest and commitment from Breeze that they will evaluate and potentially start nonstop service to San Francisco, and that would happen sometime in 2025. So that we're very excited about that opportunity to not only have this year connected LAX, and that will come back again in early 25, but potentially have the ability to connect up into that northern part of California in order to connect better with Silicon Valley and some of the other entrepreneurial businesses that exist up in that region. A little bit about our air traffic and what's happened over the last 10 years. One of my staff said the other day, we put this chart up there because this is how long Dave's been around, since about 2010. But it actually was 2009, so I got a year, I lost a year in there. But you see what happened during COVID. We were really on a great rise prior to COVID. As all airports experienced a catastrophic fall off during COVID. But we built back really well over the last 4 years. And the interesting thing is we predicted that it would take us about 4 years to get back to our 2019 numbers. So we hit the mark pretty well. And now we are blowing through those numbers today and on our way again to record numbers at GSP from a passenger perspective. In fact, the first half of this year went so well that our budget that we do our planning about 6 months before we adopt our budget for July. On the passenger side, we projected about 1.4 million enplanements. That's boardings, people getting on airplanes. We will actually achieve that by the end of the calendar year. So we'll beat that by 6 months, and we're looking forward to a great first 6 months of 2025 as well. And this just gives you some of the data points on comparisons on how the traffic has grown. So you can see that very strong double-digit growth month over month, year over year between 2024 and 2023. Anywhere from 6% upwards of 16, 18%. So strong traffic, led a lot by some of those new flights and activity that I mentioned to you earlier. And then we look at our budget. You can see that blue line is how we budgeted our enplanements for our fiscal year that began July 1. The little orange dots are where we've actually performed to date for the first 2 months of the year. So we're off to a great start for July and August, and September looks very strong as well right now. And then when you look at the long-term trend for the airport, that's on that blue trend line, and you can see the forecast there out to 2054, where we almost reach 4 million enplanements. So, a little over 2.5 times what we currently have today. And that's actually at a compounded annual growth rate of less than our historical growth rate. So as you can see up there, it's 3.6%. We've actually grown from 1962 through today at about 4.6 to 4.7%. So we're being a little conservative on what the future may bring from a traffic standpoint, but we feel really good about these numbers. And this is really what we're planning a lot of our facility development around as we look to the future. So just a little bit quickly on the cargo side, we are ranked number 23 in the U.S. in international trade volume for international cargo activity at GSP. 6.15 billion in international trade value happened at GSP in calendar year 2023. And we offer the only nonstop all cargo scheduled international flights in either of the Carolinas, so in South Carolina or North Carolina. So again, we're very proud of that and what we're able to bring to the upstate from a robust international connectivity standpoint on the cargo side. And here's a few of the planes we have on the ground. In particular, during COVID, we had a lot of what we call aircraft tails that are a little unusual, like British Airways and TUI and Aer Lingus and others at the airport. And we're continuing to look to grow that activity as we move forward and take care of the manufacturers and suppliers here in the upstate of South Carolina. And as you would expect, Germany tops a list of our trade partners that we work with and where that freight is coming from. But some of those might not resonate at the top of your list of countries that we might be trading with, and really great activity occurring on the cargo front and connectivity, as you can see, around the world. So a little bit about airport infrastructure. I'll go through this quickly. We're currently in the midst, if you've traveled out to the airport, of upgrading our road front. We finished our curb front, which I thought was going to be the invasive piece, but it's actually these two little roundabouts we're trying to get done out front that have caused a lot of havoc at the airport. But almost a $19 million investment out at the airport in order to take care of some things on the roadway front. We're also expanding our fixed base operation at the airport. We're building a new building, doubling the size of the existing building and doing a renovations to that existing building, another $14.5, $15 million investment. And then our next big phase of development that's going to come at the airport is an expansion of gates over on the B concourse if you've been out of the airport. So on the A concourse, we have about 9 gates. The B concourse, we have 4 gates. We're going to add another 7 or 8 gates to the B concourse. And this gives you a little bit of that configuration. We're also going to add a north bag claim, so it's more convenient for our customers to come out of the B concourse and go down and collect their bags rather than have to cross over the front of the ticket counter or over in the grand hall in order to get to the A baggage claim. You can see the cost of this. It will be phased, $250 million. That's in 2022 money. I imagine by the time we get done, this will be somewhere between a $300 million and a $350 million project that we'll be taking on at the airport. And then a few other items. Again, if you've been to the airport, you'll see actually in the last 2 weeks some great things happening. We have vertical construction going on for our new public parking garage and rental car facility, about a $100 million project. That'll be completed at the end of 2025, early 2026. So there'll be 750 spaces for public parking, 750 for rental car ready return, a new rental car customer service center, and a new what we call a quick turn facility, which will allow the rental car companies, instead of having to take those vehicles out on the roadway to service them, wash them, vacuum them, and fuel them, they'll do it right in the basement of this facility and be able to turn the vehicle right back up and get it ready for rental again. So we're excited about this. This will also free up an existing 400 spaces in the current A garage that's used for rental cars. So we'll net a new 1,100 to 1,200 new public parking spaces from this project and get the rental car capacity that we really need at the facility. Currently, we are actually having to close our public parking in the garages sometimes 2 to 3 days a week for certain hours during the day just because of the demand on the current garages. So we really need this garage in place. We are looking to build a hotel at the airport, and this is a project probably coming sometime around 2028 is my guess right now. It is in our 5-year window. 135 keys, 4 or 5 stories, rooftop restaurant, potentially a rooftop pool with an aviation motif to the hotel is what we're looking for, so especially kind of hotel product at the airport. And then you might have heard about this for a few years. This is what my staff would say is a Dave pet project. I've been trying to move forward with an autonomous automated shuttle system at the airport that would connect all of our surface lots to our terminal facilities. This project is ready to go. It's really fully from a design build standpoint. We have design documents in place. We have a guaranteed maximum price for the project in place. We're just seeking funding right now. So we've been working at the federal level to achieve some funding. We've been working at the state level on some funding for this project. We think it would be a great pilot project for the state to invest in as an example, and for that matter, the federal government, in how you can do some connectivity in a way that's sustainable for the community, and also from a customer service standpoint, it's an on-demand system. So literally you would come up and press a button, the vehicle would come to you, pick you up and take you to the terminal, or when you're at the terminal, you would tell it what lot you were going to, it would take you directly back to that lot. So very convenient, very customer service focused. And then last but not least on the list is we are looking to do a microgrid at the airport for a couple of different reasons. One is resiliency. That's usually the first and foremost that you would do this to make sure that we can fully operate the airport if for some reason we lose power from the grid. In fairness, that doesn't happen that often. It's only happened a handful of times in my 15 years at the airport, and the longest duration of time we've been without a power from Duke Energy has been about 6 or 7 hours. But there's also a sustainability piece to this project. There's a customer service piece again, because we would put all of the solar panels on canopies in the surface lots. So that means every vehicle, even in a surface lot, would have cover so it wouldn't be exposed to the elements, to the sun, the wind, potential hail that may move through in a storm, which we think would benefit our customers. And then it would also give us the ability to augment Duke power at peak times. Today in the terminal, our peak demand is about 2.5 megawatts. We anticipate that that's going to continue to grow into the future. I mentioned rental cars. If they convert 25% of their fleet to electric vehicles, it's another 1.25 megawatts of power need at the airport. And we haven't even approached what we call eVTOLs, which are electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Those are even much larger, have a larger demand on electricity in order to charge those. So we're trying to get prepared for the future in order to make sure that we're going to be able to accommodate all the electrical demand that may be there at the airport. And this is just a list of our projects. I'm not going to go through these, but over $500 million over the next 5 years in investments at GSP. And just as a reminder, everything that we do to generate revenue at GSP, all the money that we receive goes right back into the airport in infrastructure improvements. It all stays right on the airport. That's a federal regulatory item for us and how we generate airport revenue. It can't be taken off airport to do other things. It has to stay on the airport and invested in the airport. And then you look at our 20-year master plan. This was actually adopted back in, I think it was updated in 2020, $1.3 billion in overall investment. Again, that'll probably be more like $1.5 to $1.7 billion by the time we're done with full escalation. Land development, we do have a very robust land development plan for the airport. We adopted that plan in 2012. This gives you a little idea of the land mass that we have at GSP, roughly 3,700 acres of property that's been assembled over the years. And we are looking at developing each of those properties with quality projects, going to be bring high-paying jobs to our community, help that per capita income. And we're in the middle right now of actually updating that study. It's hard for me to believe that was done 12 years ago, and so it was time, based on our market here in the upstate, to take another look at that study and just update that, so we are doing that as we speak. And then just a little bit about economic impact. We did update our economic impact study back last fall. When I got to GSP in 2009, our annual economic impact was estimated by the same company that did this update that I'm sharing with you today, but it was estimated at $377 million a year in annual economic impact. You can see our economic impact now is over $4 billion a year, supporting almost 20,000 jobs in our community, significant amount of tax revenue associated with that activity that's generated from airport-related business. And with that, I'm going to move on to after update, although I will stop for a second if there are any questions from council before I move into discussing the Air Service Development Fund.
No, keep going.
Keep going?
I think
Okay.
we're all pretty
Very good.
locked in.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about air service and the benefits of air service as we move forward. Again, I won't read these, but if you look at leisure tourism, and if you look at leisure tourism by air, you look at 131% return on investment, based on the visitor spend that comes. And then when you look at group tourism activity, again, 80% of meeting planners identify airlift as a key component in order to bring meetings to a community at the end of the day. So it's extremely important that we continue to grow air service at GSP based on the economic impact that it can have in our communities. You also look at connectivity, obviously, for existing business and recruiting new business. Usually at the top of the list for new business recruitment, people want to know where they can fly to out of the local airport. And when you look at economic development overall, just having a good airport with good air service is going to help bolster that overall economic development. And then the same with direct economic and financial benefit for the community. You see something that was by McKinsey Consultants that they put together as a quote. So when we look at GSP and we evaluate our air service market area, you will hear us talk about leakage. And leakage are those passengers that are in our community that drive to another airport to fly out of. And usually they do that for one of two reasons. One is either a nonstop flight, that's usually at the top of the list. And two might be for price, and especially if they're traveling with a family. So we're really focused on growing nonstops. We're also focused on trying to keep our airfares at GSP competitive. We do that by creating competition in the market between the airlines. The more airlines we can have serving similar destinations, the better we're going to be. Competition drives lower prices at the end of the day. And you can see kind of here in the dark blue are the passengers percentage-wise that we capture and the numbers that we capture for each of these markets. And then you can see in the light blue, those are the amount of passengers that were leaking from those markets, either to mostly Charlotte, Atlanta, some up to Asheville, a little bit down to Columbia in those two cases. When I got to GSP in 2009, we were leaking 66% of our market. We now capture 60% of our market, so we're leaking 40% of our market. So we've done a lot and come a long way, but we still have more work to do. So what's the opportunity here? In the short term, the opportunity is to announce 3 new nonstop destinations, and then 1 to the West Coast. Now this again, presentation, as I mentioned, we've been talking about this for 8 or 9 months. So this was around Breeze. This was around attracting Breeze. I think, Mary, you were able to join us for the ribbon cutting out at the airport. Thank you for being there. And again, that service launched. It's been very successful over the summer. The long-term benefit of Breeze, they will point to Richmond, Virginia. So if you look to Richmond up on the screen and you see what happened in Richmond, launched with 29 monthly flights, grew within 24 months to 148 flights. They see the upstate of South Carolina in a similar light to Richmond in the type of service that they can provide, the amount of service they can provide, the destinations that they can serve. So we really think with Breeze, we have an opportunity to have a long-term partnership that's going to really help grow nonstop air service here in the upstate. So what's, again, the kind of the deal structure of this in trying to recruit Breeze to come here, which we were able to do? It was to develop a fund that could be used to negotiate and subsidize on behalf of the region what we call a minimum annual guarantee. So a lot of carriers in the markets today, they want some commitment from the community that says, hey, you're going to help backstop this to get it off the ground. It's only there for a certain amount of time. We hope not to have to use it, but if we do, we have the ability to draw on it. If we don't have to use it, then the money just remains in the pot and goes unused. And it is about expanding new nonstop service as we did with Breeze. So, you know, I think this has worked well. We saw it deliver results over the summer. The last bullet on here is I can't do this program as the airport operator. I have some federal regulatory prohibition against doing minimum revenue guarantees directly. So I can be here talking to you about it. We can't fund it with airport money, and I can't actually do the contract with the airline as the airport. It has to be done by someone else in the community. In this case, Visit Greenville SC did step up to the plate initially and said, look, we'll help get the contract in place. We'll help monitor the funds. We'll work with the other local agencies on getting those funds together and then reporting out how those funds are being spent. So that's why you see Visit Greenville SC here at the bottom in the last bullet. So the deal structure for the airline, again, it was 3 new cities, 1 existing city with some expanded service, 2 weekly round trips per destination. And we had good times of the day with a terrific aircraft, which was a 137-seat Airbus A220, great airplane for our market. The deal structure is Breeze requested $500,000 for Providence, Hartford, and Tampa. They did not ask for any money for Orlando. They put that one in on their own, and then they asked for $1 million of a backstop to start LAX. It's a 12-month term. Obviously, the goal here is you don't exceed the support that you get, and there's a monthly reconciliation that goes on and reporting back to all of the participants in the funding. From a GSP standpoint, there are things that we can do. So we are giving Breeze 2 years of operational incentives, over $500,000 over the 2 years. We waive baggage handling fees, we waive ticket counter fees, we waive landing fees, and then in addition to that, we are providing another $500 million in local marketing support as well. So the money that's really being collected by the revenue guarantee is going potentially directly to the airline as a subsidy if needed. And then there's also investments being made by Visit Greenville SC and others from a cooperative marketing, out-of-marketing dollar standpoint in order to market us as a destination here in the upstate. So the ask is, and here's the current commitments up on the board. You can see the commitments we received to date from other entities here in the upstate. The goal was 1.5 million in total, the 500 million for the 3 cities and $1 million for LAX. And so we have a funding gap still right now of 275,000. We're looking to try to fill that gap the best we can. And we're here asking for your support as a city of Spartanburg to maybe be able to do what you all think might be appropriate to help the cause here. And I stand ready, Mayor, to answer any questions you may have.
Sure, thank you. And Dave, thanks for the presentation. I mean, very excited about what's going on at GSP, and was fortunate enough to make the announcement with Breeze coming online, and was very excited about that opportunity as well. So again, thank you for that report. Questions?
Mr. Mayor, Dave, thanks for being here, and also for the presentation, and thanks to you and your team for everything you do for the upstate. Those awards you won just validate what I think most of us already know, and pound for pound, we have the nicest airport in the United States, and I've seen a bunch of them. So thank you for making it such a great experience. Question, the impact data that you showed, both in terms of economic and passenger data, do you have any of that broken down to help us understand what the impact is on the city of Spartanburg specifically, or any of the other entities?
I don't have that specifically, Councilmember. We can probably do that through some sources that we have in just data collection of location of people booking, and probably get that back to you as to if we were trying to take that data as an example and break it out percentage-wise of how much was going maybe in each county. When the upstate, we could probably get that done for you, but I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay, I mean, I'm not asking for a lot of make work on anybody's part, but if you had, some data that was easily accessible, it'd be great to see the impact on the city.
Any other questions? And I do want to mention one, right before COVID, 2019, and the annual passengers, I mean, we've exceeded that to this point now, since we've gotten through COVID. Right now, 2024, we're past where it was even.
Our highest number was about, on a moving 12-month basis in February of 2020, we were about 1.33 million, and we're already past that now, and we'll, as I mentioned, we'll be at 1.4 million by the end of this calendar year. That's
just
correct.
excited to see where we're going at GSP, along with all the other excitement and momentum we have going around the upstate. So.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you this evening. And if there's any other questions that you all have, I'm happy to entertain those. Just please reach out to me, and I'll get back with you.
Will do.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Good. Item 8, we have award of the bid for the West Main Street project. Presenter, Mr. Jay Squires, Public Works Director.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Staff's pleased, we're very pleased to announce that we received bids for the construction of the trail project on West Main Street, from West Main Street to St. John's. The plan will install protected bike lanes and multi-use trails on both sides of West Main Street from West St. John to St. John's. It sounds like we're just going in a big circle, but it's not. St. John's is just a holdover. It's really pretty close to where Warehouse Street is now, on the eastern side of West St. John's, and I mean from West Main Street. So the Coens is like we like to talk about it. But from that said, we had 4 bids that we received. Sossaman Construction was they were the first bid at $2,551,017.85. The Palmetto Group was at $2,999,753.93. Civil Pros was at $3,495,553.42. And AOS Specialty Construction was at $3,846,999.75. And that always gets me about the cents on that, but it is what it is. So from that, staff reviewed the bids and the qualifications for each of the contractors. Based on the review, we have determined that Sossaman Construction Company is the responsive low bid. The project should take 180 days, depending on the weather, of course. Staff has notified, we've actually notified all of the business owners in that corridor in person of what this construction project would look like, and try to answer any questions so far as well with that. With that said, periodically a detour route will have to be in place for to be able to demo and construct the project in a safe manner. So staff is asking council to allow us to accept the bids and let the city manager enter into a contract with Sossaman Construction for the completion of the project. We are also pleased to announce that the $2,551,017.85 will be paid from state funding.
Okay. Jay, not only you said staff is excited about it, council members, when you mentioned it, are excited as well.
Do we feel like we're rushing into this project?
No, it's been a long time coming, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Questions? Go.
I don't have a question. I'm just pleased that you talked with all the businesses on that side of town, because I've been getting a lot of questions concerning when we'll get started and what it's going to look like. So I see you got I guess you got that up there for us to visualize.
It's a very large project,
Yes.
but it's something that we just completed the hopper, a couple of years back. So it's, this is going to bring the economic development to the west end of Main Street. So we're very pleased, very excited about that.
Well, the two of us are really excited.
I know.
That's Megan and myself.
I think it's the seven of us are truly excited.
Yes, you too.
To that, Jay, you did mention detours and getting people off. Of course, we will give it's a half a year, about a 6-month project, 180 days. So just giving people enough time, enough notice, when the detours we won't be able to travel that area much. But really excited. Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jay, I know we've talked about this a little bit before. Wanted to ask, and I know we're voting on the bid, but as far as design goes, I've had some conversations with members of our bike and pedestrian committee, and there's been 2 pedestrian fatalities around Forest Avenue, and they've been particularly talking about a crosswalk there. Is that what we're seeing right there?
And that's so everybody remembers, this is a DOT road. In addition to being in the privilege of being in the city, it is actually a DOT road. So with that said, whenever you go through and make these major improvements to this intersection, you have to provide for crosswalks, safe crosswalks. Mid-block crosswalks are a point of contention sometimes, but with this project, we have to provide for those because, we know human nature. It's safer to cross at the intersections where you have a signal. However, this project will allow for that. We're trying to get all of those into the project. With that said, so with the amount of traffic that we see on West Main now, we're not doing anything with the travel lanes. There's still one way east and one way west, but we would provide a little additional crosswalks and so forth with this project. In addition, you'll have, you got multi-use trails on either side of West Main. So we are encouraging the pedestrians. This is what this is. It's not just an economic we're not making war against a vehicle, but we know we'll have additional pedestrian traffic, and that's why this project is so critical to that with the safety aspect as well. So yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jay, on a number of the intersections of the hopper, it seemed, or at least one in particular that I can think of, as it relates to the turn from Main Street onto Converse.
Yep.
The turning radius is really very poor. And, you know, if there's a bus in that lane crossing Converse headed towards South Converse, I mean, you can't turn. And I've seen a number of occasions where there've been tire tracks in the median. And so I hope as we design this that we're thinking about that, and also at some point we probably need to find some sort of remedy for the problem at Converse Street. And I've also heard some concern about the width of the bicycle lanes, because it is such that, and I had not thought about it until it was mentioned, but it is almost wide enough to give people the impression that it's an actual car lane. And so there was some concern around that. So I don't know if we've thought about that.
On these themselves, all right, to your point about the, I can't believe you're saying that radius. You can't, I'm just kidding. To those designers, they, you know, that section right there and on Converse Street, it's an urban setting. You know, it's a little bit different from this where you have a little bit more sight and so forth. But to your point, there are, especially on Forest Street where we have the left turn lane on this project right here, we have a mountable apron, meaning you'll still have it there, but it's designed for some folks, if they have a larger wheelbase, to be able to go over that as well. So yes, so we did design that a little bit into this project as well, but also, you know, it's just the bike lanes. So on this one, if you think about the hopper, you know, you have a sort of a consolidated, sometime a multi-use and a protected bike lane. These are both, it's not that it's totally different, but you will have protected bike lanes outside of the multi-use trails. So the bike lanes would sort of be unto themselves, and then the multi-use would be multi-use, but you know, you'll have a little bit distinction on that because you've got more capacity on with this project than the other projects.
So there'll be less of the risk of somebody thinking you could drive a car down it.
Well, yes, sir. The protected bike lane is only 6 foot, and it's closer to the actual roadbed. The multi-use sidewalk is still on the right of way, but it is, I mean, it's a multi-use pathway. It has to meet a certain width.
I feel like we'd hurt Sossman's feelings if we didn't approve it, since they've already put their signs out.
It's definitely open everywhere. Any other?
Jay, you mentioned the detour, and is that for the whole length of the project? And if so, do you have an idea of what that detour is going to look like?
What we try to do, and that goes down to methods and means, of course, and what we try to painstakingly do through this process is have at least amount of impact to that corridor, especially to the business owner. So we think we can be able to, you know, not, first off, we're going to give them access no matter what. So the beauty to this project actually is you've got a lot of other side streets that come into it, like Branch Street. You also have Forest Street and so forth. So you'll never be cut off from your, you know, from your business traffic. But we will, to accommodate that, you know, that specific time frame. You know, 6 months is a long time, but the problem it is just it's outside and we're dependent on the weather. So the detour route, we want to make sure that it's there for safety because we need to, but we're going to be very proactive with that detour, and we'll let everybody know, but it will only be there when we need it there.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm not sure, Jay, if my statement or my question is going to be appropriate at this time, because it's kind of changing the subject.
But
Is it appropriate?
Not if you're
Or should
not
I
going to
wait?
discuss
Okay.
the project.
Okay, I'll wait up until.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
And Jay, 180 days from today,
Well, as soon as we sign the contract.
because, I mean, that's going to run right up to the opening of Fifth Third Park. And so is it going to, I mean, is that taken into consideration in the implementation of the work to try to?
It's like the, you know, when we came up here last year about the, you know, as far as paving the rail trail, you know, and I think y'all had great questions of like, hey, it's, winter's coming, and I said, look, we're gonna get it done. So we've worked with Sossin before. They've done some other projects for us as well. So I think they understand the need for this, the importance of this. So we're going to do everything that we can possible to get this thing done by opening day.
Great.
Entertain a motion?
I move that we accept the bid from Sossaman Construction Company to, take care of the plans for West Main Street and West St. John.
Good.
Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Squires. Boards and commission appointments, Spartanburg Housing and Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. Presenter is Ms. Christy Lindsay, City Clerk.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm back again on a couple of our boards. We have one board that you all just recently appointed Meredith Boyce to this board, which was the Bike Ped Committee. She has since taken a job in New York, so she cannot fulfill that. So I'm coming back to you with a recommendation from the Bike Ped Board for Mr. Brad Wright. He is qualified and he is willing to serve, so I look for your recommendation.
Do I hear a recommendation?
Make a motion, we approve Brad Wright? Is that the
Yes,
name?
ma'am.
Correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Let Brad know he's part of the Bike and Ped Committee.
Thank you.
Next.
The next board is for the Spartanburg Housing Board. Matthew Myers, they are recommended to be reappointed to this board. He is currently the chairman for this board. He is qualified, he is willing to serve, and they have put that recommendation before council for a vote.
I'll make a motion, we approve Matthew Myers' reappointment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Lindsay, can you give us quick, what are we missing?
Currently, we are missing the HARB, but our internal, our city contact on that board is currently vetting through folks and also communicating with those folks that have applied. So hopefully I'll be coming back to you with a recommendation. And then on the 13th, the Spartanburg Housing will have one more appointment that they will recommend to the council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10, staff update. Mr. Story.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple of things that I wanted to bring to your and the public attention. One relates to a number of complaints received about the installation of new fiber optic cable in some of our neighborhoods. As you know, we have been working to increase competition in the broadband space. We think that'll serve our citizens well to have more options for high-speed internet and other things. But in the course of that rollout, we've run into a few questions and issues with the installer. So today, based on some of those problems, we stopped work on that work so that the respective teams could meet to make sure that there's clarity on expectations and right-of-way information and things of that nature. Just not a major issue, but a little bit of reboot of expectations we think is appropriate, and I just want to make you aware of that.
Good.
We are working on several specific instances, but in general, we felt we needed a pause to check in and make sure the communication channels were in place there. In the end, it is a positive goal to have more broadband providers and options in the community, so we're looking forward to reaching that end goal. Second thing is a matter of sort of council business. We are looking to schedule some time, perhaps in the form of a retreat or otherwise, to have some additional informal session time for the purpose of more clearly articulating our strategic goals for the community on the heels of these $500+ million of new investments in our downtown. I think the time is right to prepare in the to re-articulate our biggest goals from a strategic perspective. This builds on the work of the comp plan and doesn't redo those things, but just to spend some time clarifying and setting expectations for our relevant stakeholders and for city staff. So I look forward to working with you to find that time in an otherwise very busy season. This is our last meeting prior to the International Festival, which is, I know that among the favorites in this community, a great reflection of the diversity of our community. I'd also highlight in the coming weeks the fire department's open house. You'll be receiving additional information, as will the public, on those two fun early October events and opportunities for folks to get out and enjoy the community. So with that, I'll see what questions you may have.
Questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Littlejohn.
Chris, I want to thank you for being very responsive today. I've gotten a lot of complaints, and I'm sure that Jay is sick of me complaining as well. But I hope that the people who are doing the work in these communities are going to take better care of people's personal properties. I walked Hampton Heights on Friday with Bill Michaels, and I saw some of the tacky work that was being done. And I am so glad that the city has halted this work. My concern, and this is something that I'm thinking, that if this company can go into a community like Hampton Heights and do this tacky work like that, because when they come into an area where you have more seniors and absentee owners, they're going to do even worse. And that's my concern. And I am glad that you all have halted the work, and I am hoping that there is going to be some type of oversight there. And you said that there is going to be someone that's going to be, I know what Jay said, because Jay told me that there's going to be somebody that's going to be working with them now. And I hope that they are going to be looking out for the residents. Because I tell you, if they come on my property doing this, we're going to court. I mean, if they come there doing some of the work that they have done on some of those properties. So
Yes, ma'am.
I am hoping that there is going to be more oversight, and I thank you for putting a halt to that work.
Good, good. Yes,
Chris,
Councilman Brown.
but to the Ruth's point, were notices sent out to neighborhoods about the work that was going to begin and sort of what their rights were? Because I think I had spoken to some people this weekend too and seen some of the photographs of some of those being on private property. Who intervenes in that? What is a neighbor supposed to do? Or if you're out running errands and you come home and you see someone is on your private property, is there someone at the city? I mean, it shouldn't be them to have to address it. This company should already know the difference between a right-of-way and private property. So when the work resumes, I suspect they're going to be going in other areas of the city. Have neighborhoods been notified of what their rights are in terms of their property versus, where the work should be actually being done?
Right. Those are some of the issues we're trying to work through about the scheduling of the work. We have maps, and those have been public, of the areas that they're trying to bring service to, but the specific sequencing of when they'll be working on what blocks, I think we can certainly do better on the communication for that. And just a couple of notes. I mean, obviously, they don't have a right to do installations on private property. The depth of the city right-of-way into what people think of as their yards varies. It's not uniform throughout the whole city. It has a lot to do with when the roadways were built. I mean, we have we have neighborhoods that have public sidewalks, and we have neighborhoods that don't. We have neighborhoods that have large lots, we have neighborhoods that have small lots, and the nature of the public right-of-way varies from street to street and sometimes block to block. So there is often some confusion. So the first expectation would be is if folks have concern that they check their deeds and plats and see if there's indication in there of that, and that they contact us at the city if they have additional questions. And the best way to do that is with a specific address and a specific question. But we're gonna, part of what we want to do with this pause is make sure there's better information flowing out to get ahead of some of those questions.
Chris, I can answer Erica's. My neighborhood was one of the first several months ago, so I'm surprised to hear this now. And they did come and put little placards around in everyone's yard saying, we're gonna be doing some work, here's a phone number to call. And I called them several times from questions of neighbors, and they were very responsive. And I found exactly what you're saying. People don't necessarily have a exact understanding of where their property is versus what's a right-of-way.
And it invariably brings forward questions. And there's also the fact that some of this installation work is involves some digging and that kind of thing. And so it can look really rough for a few days, but they understand and will further understand the standards for bringing the right-of-ways back to decent shape. So folks ought not assume if they go home for the night that they aren't coming back to finish the job appropriately.
Okay, Chris, now to my understanding, in Hampton Heights, because there was no notification, and I see that they are doing markings now in the South Converse neighborhood, I have not received a notification, because no one's gotten any notifications over there. So maybe you're one of the blessed ones, man.
Well, we did get.
We'll check we're working through checking the status of all of that, so yeah, that's part of our.
The work has stopped in our neighborhood. Shay was reminding me one evening I came home, we had the little flags in the yard. Jerome, what are they doing? What are they doing? You know, and we hadn't had notice, but our neighbor was actually gonna receive the new internet fiber optic. So, you know, they were just marking some lines. Chris, to one other point that we've been discussing, we haven't had to say that in a long time, Mayor Pro Tem. Please silence your phone. Chris, noticed there have been some conversations about the Pepsi plant.
Yes, sir.
I know that Urban League was involved, just making sure Mark Peters still owns the Pepsi plant.
That's correct, and he's going to provide us an update in the next few weeks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got Chris, wait a minute. The Housing Authority, and I know that that's been addressed, and I know that Ms. Evans is here, but I have gotten several complaints about the overgrowth of grass along the Hudson-Boxdale area, and I think that falls under the Housing Authority, and I have called you about it because I'm getting complaints about that, because that grass is up to my hip up there. And you know I'm a tall person, but so it's pretty high. It's pretty high. And I was wondering what's going on there, because this has been going on for over a month, because that the grass is not cut.
I don't know the specifics, but I do know that they're working to address the situation, and we expect it to be addressed soon. But I don't know whether that's a tomorrow thing or a this week thing. And I know that there were some issues involving the contractor. That's my
You told me that 2 weeks ago that they're working on the situation, so, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you, Chris.
And I figured you were saving it. No other questions? We're gonna move on. Thank you, Mr. Story. City Council update. Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think everyone will be glad when I'm not the first to go anymore, because I seem to bring down the mood. But last meeting, I talked about, we just had the Georgia school shooting, and I talked about some of the statistics across the United States and here in our own community. Wanted to just follow up. Since then, I attended a national training through Every Town, which is an initiative of Moms Demand Action. And I see Miss Wilma Moore in the crowd, who's our local leader for Moms Demand Action Group. It was a training around safe gun storage and what we as a community can do to make sure that gun owners are securing and locking their guns up so that they do not get in the hands of individuals who wish to do harm. It was another violent weekend across the county, and I wanted to, I know this is a little unusual, but I wanted to read from one of our police reports from this weekend, because it's one thing to talk about statistics and say numbers, and it's another thing to humanize it. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about this particular report that I read. There was several individuals that shot into a home, and this is the report from the police officer who responded. They say, as I entered the house, I observed gunfire damage to a window close to the front door, and the front door had a bullet hole going through it. I entered this young girl's room, and she stated as she was in bed, she heard multiple gunshots and observed debris from the wall fall on her. As she spoke, I observed a small bullet hole in a Little Mermaid picture frame located above her bed. A bullet hole located directly above the head of her bed where she was laying at, and a bullet hole in her bedroom window. I took photos of all the gunfire damage. And that's someone in our community who today probably went to school, who had a picture of my favorite Disney princess, the Little Mermaid, who all she wished was to escape her world to something else, who now has bullet holes in that picture frame. And I don't want to forget that. I don't want to see the stories on the news and on the Herald Journal, YFF4, things from this weekend, and think, oh, that's just another shooting. Oh, 2 more juveniles. I don't want to forget that girl, and I don't want you to forget that either. And I went to college in Birmingham, and there was another shooting there this weekend at a place that I've frequented often. And the mayor had some very strong comments about how this is not just a law enforcement issue. This is all of our issue. This is the job of elected officials to help solve this. But I want all of us to be thinking, what is my role in this national crisis? How are we taking advantage of National Night Out that we just celebrated, that we'll have in many of our communities? Are we just eating fish together, or are we talking about things that we can do practically? Are we giving out the gun locks that our police department has? It's one thing to be social and create those relationships, and that's critical and key, but I hope that we can use that night to educate and put things into the hands of our residents that can keep our people and our young people safe. This is something I'm going to keep talking about, because we have to keep talking about it, because every week in our community there is something else and another young person whose life will be forever impacted by the unnecessity of gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I too remember reading the report, and what struck me was I thought they mentioned it was a bullet in her pillow.
Yes, yes.
So I definitely get it, but as you know, and I'm sure some on the council know, it's a much deeper issue than just gun safety. And I appreciate what Sam and all the hard work they're doing, and the school districts, the police, but it's much deeper than us locking guns. It's some things that we have to address with our young people that are committing these crimes, and they're not thinking about locking up anything. They're just thinking about getting another one. But I do feel your grief there, and I feel your passion in us doing something. I definitely believe we have to do something. So, Councilman Foreman.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I see Chief Bruton out there. I think several of us had the opportunity to attend the 9/11 service at the was it Fire Station 1? And it was a very moving service and a very educational service. And I commented to several of you there that it would be important for the school children of our community to get that type of history lesson on a day such as that, to give them the historical perspective of you know, that very seminal event, unfortunate event. And then I saw several people at the 9/11 memorial. I didn't see any of our colleagues, Mr. Mayor, at Miles for the Mayor this weekend. They must have gotten the time or the place wrong or something, but we had a lovely walk through the Wofford College campus on our city's northern border, and Dr. Dwayne Pruitt did a great job of leading us around, and you know, was a great ambassador for the college, and I won't report on everything we saw on the campus. I see some college students there, but there were you know, some not paraphernalia, some a lot of tin and aluminum and a few glasses along the parade route. It was great to be there. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We also did that, so, I mean, come on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here. I do apologize. I texted Megan and Catherine the morning of, you know, I go frequently to the Miles with the Mayor. I'm really surprised you showed up, frankly. But I just had so much, I just forgot. I'm being honest, y'all. I forgot. I'm wedding planning and trying to, like, all these last minute details were like 45 days out, and so I just simply forgot. I had a very emotional conversation with my mom the night before, and then I went to bed and I was just thinking about our sweet conversation, and I'm like a grown adult, but I'm still her baby girl, you know? So I apologize, and I did text you.
You did.
So I apologize for that. Wanted to remind everyone that Jazz on the Square is still happening. I happened to stop by there this past Friday, and it was kind of barren. That's always been like one of the bigger events I feel like we have during the fall. So please come down. It's from 5:30 to 8, I believe. And then grab a dinner, you know, downtown at one of our local restaurants, because they definitely need us and need our support. I think there's a presidential election coming up. I don't know. I haven't seen any commercials or advertisements or anything. But y'all, your vote is important. No matter who you vote for, it's your God-given right to do it. So many people fought hard for us to have the ability to do it. In-person registration for South Carolina ends on October the 4th by 5 p.m. Online registration, October 6th by 11:59. And if you're planning on mailing in your ballot or mailing in your registration, it needs to be postmarked by October the 7th. If you have questions about dates and deadlines and all the sort of things, you can go to scvotes.sc.gov to get that information and check your registration, make sure your polling places haven't changed. There's a lot of buffoonery happening around states around this country, so just double check, triple check, make sure you're good to go and go to the polls.
Good. And with that being said, I was going to bring this up. Poll workers are needed. Poll workers are needed. Get paid $135 for your training and for the day of work. So poll workers are needed. 16 and older. 16 and older. Yep, and they will train you. Don't need any experience. Councilman Rain.
Those were great updates. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. I don't have anything else, but appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the voting information, if you don't want to go online, it's right here in the newsletter if you got that. Okay. Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
texted you that I could not
Yes,
be
ma'am.
at the
You
walk
did.
on
You
Saturday
did.
because
You
ADT
did.
was going to be at my house.
You did.
The Porch Fest that was at Hampton Heights I mean, that was absolutely wonderful. I could not believe the amount of people that were there. And the sad part about it is that my aunt had just gotten out of the hospital. I was there with her, so I had to leave her for just a minute, got to rush over to Porch Fest. I was really shocked because I couldn't find a place to park or anything. But it was absolutely wonderful. So if you weren't there, you missed a treat. I am grateful to Chief Thompson and his police force because so much activity that was going on at the South Converse Park that families and children had stopped going down there. And so I saw a family down there Saturday. I was so excited. I saw a couple of families down there, so I was glad to see that. I also want to thank Christy Norkett and her team because a pack of dogs were loose in the South Converse community. There were 2 Rottweilers and a German Shepherd, I think it was. It was a pack of them, and they were running. Everybody was seeing them, but nobody could catch them. And so Christy Norkett was out almost all day on Friday, and they were able to get those dogs. So I am grateful to her. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I want everyone here to know that my husband and I have celebrated 47 years of marriage.
Yay! Congratulations.
And that was as of last Tuesday.
What's the secret?
Just be patient.
I'll talk to Roland about that.
Yes, dear. Also, I had the privilege of witnessing the 50-year celebration for sickle cell anemia. And the thing about sickle cell, it just doesn't affect the black folks, people as much as it affects every one of us, black, white, pink, or purple. So, but I'm asking you to, if you can, financially support them. If you don't know what it's all about, please look into the website so you can see that it is a major disease. On the 19th, let me back up. First, I want to apologize to you because I didn't let you know, but I was doing my American duty and on Saturday, doing voters registration at my church yard.
Good.
So that's why I wasn't there. Of course, I would have been walking anyway. But I also went to Spartanburg County Municipality Association meeting in Duncan. How many of you all been to Duncan to the Shipwreck Cove? It is absolutely wonderful out there, and they're doing wonderful things in Duncan, and Duncan is really growing, just like all of our other little towns around. And just for a weekend, checking in the festivals, they're having a big monster mash for the children on, I think, October 26th. And they're spending a lot of money on candy, so if you're a sweet eater, go. Last but not least, on Saturday, I was able to present awards at the Artists Collective of Spartanburg Jewelry Exposition. Oh, can't even talk. But it was nice, it was hot, and they had some wonderful paintings. And if you've never been there, you need to visit. The exhibition is over with, but try to just go by and look in on the Artist Collective artwork.
Awesome. Thank you. I love it when we have the 2 Walford alumni over here fussing about the Mayor's Walk, so I do appreciate it. I think we have some Walford students here in the audience as well, so thank you guys for coming. I hope this is some extra credit. We were all there once upon a time, and I needed a lot of extra credit to get through. So thank you all for coming. If you have any questions about what we do here, please contact one of the council members or myself or even the staff here in front of you. We'd definitely be happy to answer any questions. Porch Fest, thank you for mentioning Porch Fest. Laura Ringo was here earlier. I know she left, but it was an outstanding event. Above and beyond my expectations as well. Mentioned poll workers. Walford Miles with the Mayor was outstanding. Dr. Dwayne Pruitt showed us around, gave us a history lesson, really gave us a history lesson. You could tell Jamie did not set the route. There was no hills. It was all flat, so that was up to your mayor. I had a good, easy route that I landed. So, but it was truly informative. I mean, as far as information goes, just a great walk and informative session. Morgan Square Madness, October the 3rd, with USC Upstate. This is their 3rd annual, and just an outstanding event that they put on to open up basketball season for them. I will be shooting some threes, Rob, so I'm actually at the gym kind of working on my jump shot. You know, I don't have much lift anymore, I just I think that's it for my notes. I had some side notes here, there. And the report from airport, oh man, it was great. It was really good. And Megan, you and I talk all the time about young people and this gun violence stuff, but it's much bigger than someone picking up or locking up. It's some things we really got to get more in tune with our young people as much as we can get in front of some young folks and just talk to them about being there for them. I know you mentioned Chief Bruton. He's doing something at the alternative school, and but again, it's an opportunity for all of us to do something. There's a business Upstate Talent Forum will be at USC Upstate as well, October the 8th through the 9th, 8th and 9th. So thank you all for coming out this evening. Oh, Chris, I do have one more question. The water at CC in the pool needs to be drained. I thought it was already drained, but we have some activity, kids climbing the fence and all that over at CC.
I'll check with the Parks and Rec staff about what they typically do in the off-season.
Yeah, cover, was it cover or something, but yeah.
Yes, sir, we'll check on that.
Thank you.
Mayor, I make a motion, we move into executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm the only one that opposed. I was still kind of. Highland, thank y'all for coming. I still hadn't